Welcome to Real Talk with Louis Sabatasso. Today we'll be talking to Chelsie Skidmore. Chelsie Skidmore is an ex-stripper, current comedian, and all-around awesome girl. Hi, Chelsie.
Hi, Louis.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So you came from New York. Where are your parents?
They're in New York.
Okay.
They live in, they're divorced. They have the weirdest relationship. They're divorced and they live in the same building. And they're the only people who live in the building right now because it's for sale. So it's like, they live in like a townhouse in Chelsie. And my mom lives on the second floor. My dad lives on the bottom floor, which has a garden, and she overlooks him in the window and just watches him.
Let's back up to a number of years ago. Obviously, you're doing drugs and drinking at this point.
Yeah.
And what did you do? You got a job at entertaining in a club.
Yeah, it was as a stripper.
You got a job as a stripper.
Yes.
And how old were you then?
I think I was 20, but I know I was underage because it was in Hawaii and you had to be over 21 to work there. You know, the club served alcohol. I used a girl's ID, a real ID, who looked like me.
Okay. How was your relationship with your father?
I mean, he was like a rageaholic, you know, an alcoholic. Well, this is so weird because when I was like, maybe like 10 years old, I remember like hearing my parents like arguing, and I remember thinking, I want to be a stripper when I'm older. Which is like so weird, you know, like to have that thought.
Yeah.
And I know that my dad used to go to a lot of strip clubs when he was married to my mom and when he lived in our house. And I think I must have heard them arguing about it and like talking about it a lot. And she had told me like text messages she saw from like strippers. So I think I like was like, oh, like maybe that's how I get like love from my dad sort of thing, which sounds weird, but it's not like him watching it. I don't know. Something in my brain just was like...
Do you think you could have been stripping at your dad too?
What?
Like stripping at your dad, like not for your dad, but sort of at your dad.
I don't
like, I'm gonna
know.
do this
I don't know.
to get back.
But something got in my head when I was a kid that made me think that, and I know I have all these memories of them talking about it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure something psychologically happened from that, and then I just like wanted to do it. I don't know, like I was pretty wild, you know. I was a party girl for sure, and it just felt like a fun thing. I was always trying to do something like on the edge to, you know, have like a crazy experience.
Were you stripping partially to get through college?
I was actually working at Nobu being a hostess, and in Hawaii in Honolulu, and they just like were just like lame. You know, they were just like, I'd always be like, I'm a very fidgety person, so I'd be like going like this and like, stop touching your hair. And we had to wear these like boring dresses, and I was like, fuck this place. I'm like working at a strip club.
And how did that feel to be able to do that?
Really good.
So here you have this like incredibly esteemable thing, and then you're doing something that I can imagine might not have been the greatest for your self-esteem.
No. I mean, I was like really into being financially independent. But like, yeah, of course it was horrible for my self-esteem and self-worth. And I didn't realize it at the time, only until I stopped like all of these kind of negative behaviors and got sober and like, you know, started to like work through the issues and see what was lacking for me, that I was able to even realize how much worse and how much I was affected without even noticing. You know, when you're in it, it's hard to like see. Because I think a lot of people are in denial and they're like, it's not that bad. Like, it's fine, I got it. You know, but then it's like, oh, fuck, like that definitely added to the way that I carried myself and let people treat me.
And how long did you strip for?
For 3 years.
3 years.
In Hawaii and then in New York.
Okay.
Well, only while I'm in college. And then I was like, as soon as I graduate from college, I can't do it anymore because then it's just disgusting. Because like if you're in college, you're like, oh, I'm just in school. But like if you're not, then you're a monster. So after I graduated college, I stopped.
And now a word from our sponsor.
I know I need to be here, but I miss Darla.
I miss my dad.
I don't even have an appetite.
When are you coming home?
I can't even focus on a conversation.
Where are you? Maybe I can find him.
Darla, Darla would have fetched it.
Daddy, where are you?
I miss Darla.
I smell him. Think he's in here. Daddy? Not up there.
Darla! I missed you, girl.
If you need treatment, you don't have to leave your beloved pet behind. At Clean, we're pet friendly.
We are back with Chelsie Skidmore. You're obviously doing comedy now.
Yes.
Fun fact, the very first time Chelsie ever did an
Stand-up.
open mic, stand-up was with me and our friend Jake Greenberg.
Yeah. 5-6 years ago.
5 or 6 years ago at a taco place.
It was like fun. It was just like what I wanted to do. It was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this.
And you've gotten very, very, you're very good. I mean, you've
Really?
become, yeah, you're very good.
Thank
You've
you.
become a very good. You got sober in New York, right? And you got sober in New York and then you moved out to LA.
When I moved out here, I think I had 10 months sober. So I stayed sober for 3 years, and then I relapsed 2 years ago, and now I have 2 years.
So what happened when you relapsed 2 years ago?
Well, I work at the Comedy Store, and I was dating a comic there who's like a piece of shit, and he cheated on me, and I just like lost it, you know? I could have done so many things. I could have called my friend or like a sponsor or someone, but like the second he told me like he cheated on me, and there was all this built up stuff under that too, which is too long of a story to tell, like the beginning parts of it, but he was just always like doing fucked up stuff, and I had a feeling it was coming, and then it's kind of like when you like the thing that you feared is like in front of your face, it can be hard to deal with. I don't know if this is like a bullshit thing, but 3 different therapists all say I have adjustment disorder. Is that a thing that everyone has?
Adjustment disorder. I don't understand.
'Cause
Adjusting to
now-
what?
Okay, so I have this thing called adjustment disorder apparently, where I have a hard time accepting when things happen to me, and it like makes me lose it.
Okay.
I want to like come up with like a reason why I reacted the way that I did about this whole breakup, because for me it feels so embarrassing
Yeah.
that I feel like I really like overreacted.
So you reacted the way that you reacted. We have the feelings that we have,
Yeah.
and that's the way that we
Well, it
react.
got too much for me,
Yeah.
and then I was like, I can't like deal with this.
So you started
I drank.
using. You drank.
I started drinking. I think I drank for like 2 days. Then I started doing coke. Then my friends were like, go to the hills, like a rehab for a couple of days. I went there for like 2 days. I got kicked out because someone gave me a Vicodin and told on me after. So someone picked me up. It was so funny. I was trying to get Marilyn Manson to pick me up from rehab. I wish you did, because that would have been funny.
Yeah.
Then I went out, I drank, you know, and then I did coke for like 20 hours, and then I was like coming down, and I felt horrible and like fucked up, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to like live anymore. I'm just gonna kill myself. So then I had a bottle of Xanax, and I took 27 pills, and then I like sent an email to the guy and was like, see you on the other side, you know, like some kind of cry for help email, and then he called the cops. They came to my apartment. I had to answer the door, which sucks. It's like, how embarrassing is it when you try to commit suicide, but you have to answer the door?
Yeah.
And the cop like answered the door with like a gun in my face. And I was like, what are you doing? And they're like putting a gun, isn't that so weird?
Yeah.
Like, I think they thought I don't know what they thought I was doing. And I was like, I'm just trying to kill myself. Like, leave me alone, you know? And then they strapped me down to a gurney, Britney Spears style.
Yeah.
And wheeled me out of the stairs of my apartment.
Now, when they wheeled you out of your apartment, did any of your neighbors come out?
No, but my ex, the guy who called the cops, who cheated on me, said that he was on the street watching.
Okay.
And he was like, did you see me? And I was like, no, I didn't. He was like, you went like that with your hair. You were like trying to look good in a gurney. I don't remember. And then I woke up the next day in a hospital bed in Cedars. And it was like a smaller room, you know? And then I was like, I'm ready to go. you know? And they're like, no, you're not. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, you tried to kill yourself last night. And I was like,
72 hours. And then all of a sudden
no,
it's
I didn't.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I didn't. And then they were like, no, you did, and you have to be 5150. And I was like, I don't want to go. And they're like, well, you have to. And I was like, I don't want to. And they're like, you just have to, like, once you, and they tricked me. They're like, once you get there, you can talk to them when you get there, but by law, we have to bring you there now. And then I was like, okay, well, which one is it? And I had my phone, and I looked it up, and it had half a star on Yelp. And I was like, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. And I like freaked out. And then this is so weird to me, and I don't know if you've seen this, but this guy who looked like he was in The Transporter, like a guy who was in all black with an earpiece, was at the hospital surrounded by these like two like buff guys. And I was like, who the fuck are you? Who was that guy?
There's something called the PET team.
What is that?
And that's the team that comes to evaluate to see if they really feel like you need to be admitted to a psych ward.
And then I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and I tried to run.
Yeah, they don't, that's
And they got me, and they strapped me down. And looking back, this sounds so crazy, but I like started saying all this shit to like the people in the back of the ambulance. I was like, oh, you'll see. I'm gonna get out of here. It's not, and I'm strapped down in a fucking gurney, and I'm like, I got this. Like don't like saying all this like weird shit like that, and they're like,
Yeah.
And then they just whoop wheel you in, and then you're fucking in there.
Now to a Sober Grid lifestyle segment. We are back with Chelsie Skidmore. Do you feel like that psych ward situation helps that?
I have like a 10-minute story from it, and that felt therapeutic for me. It feels really embarrassing for me to talk about. So I think the more I talk about it, like I can have peace with it, but I have like a lot of shame around it, and it was a really horrible experience being there. Just laid in a bed staring at the clock the entire time. Like it was like I was in jail, like waiting for time to pass.
Yeah.
So I mean, it helps me to stay sober, remember that, you know, it doesn't work for me when I drink, because anything horrible could happen. And
how are you different from the girl who got to LA?
I moved out here with the attitude that I should be handed things because I'm cute and I like know producers. You know, I wasn't like doing the work.
Did this transformation start with, I'm just gonna dress differently and see what happens?
My mom has dated like a lot of abusive men and been in a lot of shitty relationships, so she's been like the model for like letting things just happen sort of thing. There was a certain circumstance where I was repeating the same pattern over and over again, putting myself in situations I didn't want to be in with like gross people in the industry.
I had no idea what the answer to this question was going to be.
I don't want to get into the whole thing, but Harvey Weinstein jacked off in front of me. I mean,
Well,
but that was like I know, but this time, I had a bunch of run-ins with him. That's who, whatever. And it was like, it was just like so awful for me because I think I was just changing as a person, you know? And I think in the past I used to let people treat me like shit, you know, because I was coming from that whole like stripper world where it's like you don't have the, you know, self-esteem, self-worth. I just had this like complete breakdown after this experience that I had with him. where I went home and I was like literally on the floor of my apartment crying hysterically, like could not stop crying, and was like, I'm done with like all of this, like my life has to change. So it was just like, that was like a big like psychological sort of change. And then like getting out of that relationship and getting into a relationship with someone who like respects me, like
Started treating you in a completely different way than you've ever been treated. That way that you deserve to be treated.
yeah, and that like completely changed. And I was like, oh, I like don't have to like throw my, you know, I could just be me and be loved and accepted for who I am and not have to like sell myself out like physically or whatever.
And that happened right after you started dating Steven soon after this.
That whole breakup that happened was in May, and we started dating like October maybe. So there was like a 6-month period. I wasn't even ready to be in a relationship, but it just like happened.
I meant after the traumatic situation with, with the dude. Like,
Yeah.
So, I mean, because from an outside perspective, I was just like, she's just respecting herself more. She started dressing in a different way, and now she's in a great relationship. And it's interesting to hear sometimes the catalyst for something like that can be just like a horrific trauma.
I also got more serious about stand-up and started working a lot harder, so I wasn't like selling anything but that. So it just naturally changed. You know, like I don't wear anything revealing on stage at all.
Which is great because your material
Can stand out.
can stand out. It can be like kind of whatever, but it's this girl up there who's it's society. It works amazing.
Yeah, I also had this experience where I was, you know, posting like slutty pictures on Instagram in the past. I don't anymore, but I had posted like some, you know, why am I doing a fucking lingerie photo shoot with some fucking photographer in LA and posting that on Instagram, which like a lot of girls do, but like it wasn't right for me, but I was doing it. And then like 3 different comics at the store who I look up to like approached me and they're like, hey, why are you posting that? Like, that's weird. Like, don't you want to be a comic? And I was like, yeah. They're like, so why are you posting that? It's like not a good look. And like just 3 people like said that in a short amount of time, and I was like,
was a wrap.
I mean, I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
You know, it takes like the randomest people, I think, sometimes to make a change. When people say the same thing to you over and over again, you can't hear it.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, the randomest person will say something and you're like, oh, and then your friends get mad at you.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Hi, in this video we're going to talk about meth come down, the symptoms of a methamphetamine addiction, recovery, and how you can get your life back on track.
Meth addiction can pose many threats to someone's health. Early on in their addiction, it seems like they're just really productive, but very soon they find that they're getting really caught up in the culture of it. They'll be staying up for days on end, up really late at night, you know, sometimes scrubbing their kitchen with a toothbrush, or for me, if you're up really late, you're scrubbing the walls of your kitchen. Some of the other things you can experience when using meth on a regular basis are sleeplessness.
I was on the computer for 20 hours a day doing absolutely nothing, making to-do lists to do 1,000 things and only doing one of those things.
Loss of appetite, dramatic weight loss, paranoia, and sometimes even hallucinations.
I had lost my mind 3 times, and I don't say that lightly. It's funny looking back, but I'd actually was convinced, and it's a scary place to be, that the FBI, the police were after me. I was gonna get arrested. I was caught.
Meth can have a long-lasting and horrible effect on the user's body, mind, and spirit. But specifically with the physical appearance, it attacks things like 1, your teeth.
You can't see it right now, but I've had a lot of work done because of the tooth decay caused by methamphetamine.
The chemicals that are used in creating meth and the lack of personal hygiene that many meth users end up having can destroy and create what's called dry rot.
I did an injection of methamphetamine, I'll never forget it. And when I came to, so to speak, from that injection, half of my back wisdom tooth was missing.
A lot of meth users commonly have acne and will have open boils, sores that can begin to appear. And because you have zero appetite and inability to eat, meth also creates very rapid and quick weight loss.
I was so psychotic, I thought crystals were coming out of my skin. I thought I looked smoking hot at 140 pounds, and just to give you an idea, I'm 205 right now. Directly a result of methamphetamine addiction. You could see my organs sticking out of my skin.
Meth can cause rapid aging. Someone who's 30 and uses meth for 6 months can look like a 50-year-old.
One of the things I did when I was under the influence of meth is I researched the drug. Methamphetamine causes an intense release of dopamine, and continued and prolonged use is gonna have some kind of an effect on the brain. It may actually destroy those receptors, and it could take years for someone to fully recover. I was able to be a part of a social support group. I was in a relatively large facility, and I always had someone to talk to. You can't treat everyone the same. Individualized treatment plans are absolutely necessary. You can't tackle recovery with just one tool. There has to be a variety of treatment methods available to cover the amount of devastation caused by this particular drug. And then last but not least, medical and dental care, absolutely essential. I love having health insurance, and I love going to the dentist. Not all the time, but I still love it because I'm actually getting issues taken care of. Stuff that I hadn't taken care of for 10 years.
Stay hydrated. Increasing your water will help you maintain your body temperature and fights fatigue.
Try to avoid sugary drinks. They can cause too many issues. It's not really fully hydrating yourself. If you can go with flavored water. I don't like regular water, I hate it. So I just flavor my water.
Whole grains, fresh vegetables, fresh fruits will help you replace the nutrients lost in addiction.
Just to make sure you're eating regularly, because I find out when I'm hungry, it can actually set off other stuff, it can set off other stuff inside of me. I can get angry, I can get, anxious if I'm not eating regularly.
Vitamins also help replace nutrients in the body that have been lost. Get plenty of rest. Sleep is essential to calm down the overstimulated brain, which meth use creates.
Try and take it easy, because you've been running at turbo for years, or even, meth is just like kicking it into overdrive and hitting the NOS button the entire duration that you're using it for. So one thing, I must have slept for like a month.
Exercise is essential in increasing your mood and diminishing irritability.
I love to work out, I love to do it, but everything in moderation. There's no need to go over the top. It creates more problems down the road, and it really can be counterproductive to someone who actually wants to stay fit and healthy.
If you or someone you love have any questions about meth come down, feel free to call us at Clean Treatment Center.
And now we're back for the conclusion of our interview with Chelsie Skidmore. And now you're planning a wedding?
Yes. It's in August, very soon.
To Stephen. I think you said it on stage that your mom, it seems to be more interested in the royal wedding than your wedding.
Now she's finally paying attention, but she literally cares more about the royal wedding. When I just had a dress fitting last week, and she and I put the veil on to test it, and she's like, "Oh my God, just like the princess in the royal wedding." I was like, "No, just like your fucking daughter who's getting married." Oh my God, by the way, writing vows is so fucking hard. I can't even.
Must be great for the two of you guys, though, because you can both turn it into like a great,
Okay, so planning a wedding, you need to like look online for inspiration, but everything is like so basic.
How did you let him know that, oh, by the way,
Well, we were best friends for 3 years, and he was like, not to be gross, he was like in love with me the whole time and really liked me. And I loved him as a friend, but I just didn't. I think I was like maybe either in denial, or it was like the scene in Clueless when she's like, wait a minute, I love Josh. When we had our first kiss, it was like, and I feel so fucking lame saying this, but it truly felt like fireworks.
Yeah.
And we were like sitting on my couch, and we like counted, because we were like friends. We're like, well, what if we don't like it? And we're like, well, let's just kiss and get it over with. And then we're like, okay, 1, 2, like we literally counted down, and then it was like, it just like something like physical, like it was like crazy. And then I was like, oh my God, did you feel that? He was like, yes. And what if he wasn't? He was just a dude trying to fuck. But no.
It's very elaborate. It's a weird thing being like truly in love. It's different.
Yeah, it's just so, our relationship is so easy that it's almost just like weird sometimes,
Yeah.
I've never been in a good relationship.
No,
before.
I'm in a good relationship for the very first time too. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, it's just about you, not me. But anyway, that's amazing. And I see you guys together, and I think the greatest thing about you and Steven is the fact that you have the exact same interest in doing creative, fun, comedic stuff and comedic bits, and you guys get to do that stuff together. Like, that is amazing.
Yeah, I've never been with someone before who has made me feel so comfortable being myself. And you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of girls like change or like act a certain way, like they think, or they're like afraid to show certain parts of themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've been guilty of doing that in every relationship I've been in. But like he like really like embraces who I am and like makes me even more like kind of like crazy or silly or like.
He brings out the best in you.
Yeah, and so that's like really awesome because that's really helped me as well be able to like blossom more on stage and like be more open and comfortable with like, showing different sides of me that I might have been too afraid to show in the past. And, instead of being more guarded, being more open. And
So what's the dream? A sitcom with you and Steven?
I mean, we're actually going to write one.
I hope so.
Yeah, we are.
What's your Instagram handle's what?
Together, it's Cheven,
It's Cheven.
Cheven, combining our names,
Would that be what the show's called?
I don't know. Cheven. Something Cheven, maybe. It's just like stupid,
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you
Chelsea.
for having
This
me.
was so great. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Real Talk with Louis Sabatasso. You can like us or share us or make comments on the show. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.